Greetings, humans.
Greetings, humans. Welcome to another episode of Mike and Dave's Multiverse. It's Thursday, May the 22nd. How you doing, Dave?
Good, man. Good. Looks like we got 2 people so far early. Some early people in the chat. I'm doing good. It's nice out here today. Yeah. Pretty pumped. I wanted to say sorry about last week, guys. We were on a roll. I think we only missed Christmas and Thanksgiving, and then the universe just wasn't gonna let us do a live stream last week. So what's funny is my internet was down, and we had a whole chat with the whole team. Should we put it off? Should we do it? Should we not do it? We made the call to not do it. Brittany and made announcements on social media. We're not going live. And then 6:17, so 17 minutes after we were supposed to go live, my internet came back on, but it was good. I think we needed came back. I think we needed a week off. So I hope you got some rest, Mike, over the weekend and all that stuff.
Thanks for the break, everyone. Welcome to the show already, Scarlett and Jeff up north. Thanks for tuning in. I was ready for a breather myself. We've been hard at work, recording interviews, editing interviews, and it's okay. We missed one little show. We're back for you to do it all over again this week, like usual. So that's great.
Yeah, for sure. And well, except for we may or may not go live next week, depending on how things roll out, because we're not gonna be home. We're gonna be in Palm Springs, huh, Mike?
Palm Springs. It's time for contact in the desert, Dave. I'm excited. I'm gonna start packing my suitcase here soon.
Hey, Sarah, what's up? Sarah's our friend from Georgia. Scarlett's our friend from California, who's from Georgia. Yeah, I've been to the Palm Springs area before. I'm taking Mike to Joshua Tree for his first time. It's one of my favorite places on earth. Hoping to get some night sky there. So we're going to land late, around 9 p.m. on Wednesday night next week in Palm Springs. Pick up a car, probably go directly to Joshua Tree just so we can check out the stars, but make it quick. It's going to be a long day of traveling. Go home and get a good night's sleep, because it's like 4 straight days of classrooms and presentations and speakers. I'm pumped.
And that'll be in a different time zone, so there's really no sense in trying to go to bed early or wake up early for the next through the weekend or whatever. I might as well actually stay up a couple hours later and not worry about sleeping in, because that's what it will be when we're in California time, right?
Correct. And I just wanted to say, this event we're really excited about, because Mike and I really like the UFO UAP phenomenon and that kind of thing. But we're also going here to network, meet some people, hopefully meet some guests to bring on the show for you guys. So look forward to that, future guests that we might be able to snag from Contact in the Desert. We did interview a speaker of Contact in the Desert. Her episode dropped last Friday, Yvonne Smith. I'm excited to see her speak in person this year. So
we've also had Jason Quitt on the live stream a couple of times. He'll be speaking as well.
Yeah, he's got a new book too, Astral Experiences. So check that out. It'll probably end up on our Book of the Month list. I'm just going to show a quick Contact in the Desert trailer. So for those of you guys who don't know what we're talking about, you can get an idea. It's just a 30-second clip of, what Mike and I are going to be doing next week. So let's go. We got everything's, let's go.
I love Contact in the Desert. I think of it sort of like the UFO Woodstock.
I like Contact in the Desert.
The legends of ufology are here.
The real action is the activity and conversation that happens behind the scenes.
They network with each other in the restaurant, in the bar, in the spaces. Contact in the Desert isn't just a conference, it's a community.
Boom. I'm pumped. They're calling this one Event Horizon, Mike.
Heck yeah.
I think it's a good choice of a name, because we're kind of at the point of no return. There's no going back in the UAP phenomenon, huh?
Disclosure is going mainstream. Things that were laughed at or considered absurd in the mainstream 15, 20 years ago are now widely being accepted and propagated through the mainstream. Still may be a little slow in some circles to some ears, depending on what type of feed you're digesting, but from the New York Times to CNN to whatever, once it's out there, it's out there. So as always, Dave and I are skeptical, of course, of when official government sources are revealing the truth, because they're not usually known for doing that, are they?
No, they're not. And I've adopted a skeptical mindset, just generally speaking. Like, I'm not going to believe everything everyone says, at Contact in the Desert. There's grifters everywhere you go. But I like to have an open mind, and so I'm pretty pumped about that. What's up, Tyrone? How's it going? What's up, Uncle Don in Ontario? How's it going? Got people from all corners of the continent. I did want to mention we got a large bump in subscribers in the last 2 weeks, didn't we, Mike?
Appreciate all the new subscribers. In fact, if you want to know more about Contact in the Desert, Dave and I are going to be looking at the schedule lineup at the end of the episode. So let's shout out the new subscribers on all the platforms. Whichever video brought you in, we're glad that you're here.
Yeah, Facebook, X, Rumble, YouTube, Instagram. We're going to add Twitch, I think. Brittany was talking about adding Twitch. So that might be a 6th platform that we're going to be streaming on here sometime soon. I don't use Twitch, but a lot of people do. So, new subscribers. We dropped an interview with Danny Hillman Nadawajaja, who's the foremost expert on the archaeological evidence at Gunung Padang in Indonesia, which is a man-made pyramid that could be up to 26,000 years old, but for sure over 10,000 years old. And we blew up in Indonesia, didn't we, Mike?
Yes. So welcome to any subscribers from overseas, from the Pacific Coast, from way out west on the other side of the globe. We appreciate it no matter where you're tuned in from.
Definitely. And it's probably I don't know, 6 a.m. in Indonesia, something like that, or 8 a.m. If you're watching from Indonesia, let us know. In fact, if you're one of our new subscribers, just in general, say hi in the chat. Let us know who you are and where you're watching from. We like that stuff. Brittany will flash you up on the screen, or one of us will. And also, I guess what we really wanted to do was, speaking of Brittany, and a long-time supporter of Brittany, our producer, and a long-time supporter of our channel, Brittany's husband, we wanted to congratulate him for graduating nursing school. Is it, Brittany? He's going to be a psychiatric nurse. He's been working his butt off, and he's been a longtime supporter of our channel. So thank you for supporting us, Sean, and congratulations on graduating nursing school, man.
Congratulations, Sean. You should be proud of your hard work. And like Dave said, we appreciate your viewership. We appreciate your occasional feedback in the chat, and we like all that. So
we do. And I always respect people who go back to school in their later years. I don't know how old Sean is. I think he's maybe around my age, maybe a little older. Either way, Mike went back to school in his 30s. I went back to school in my late 20s and early 30s. And, you know, it takes a little bit of, I don't know, courage to do that, and, you know, switch up what you were doing, change things up. And so if any of you guys are out there thinking about doing something like that, I say go for it. Yeah, go for it. Wanted to quickly talk about what we got coming up in the very near future. Mike just finished editing tomorrow's video, tomorrow's Humans of the Multiverse. I'm Mike.
Mr. Michael Collins, also known as Wandering Wolf Productions on YouTube. You may be familiar with his high-quality drone survey footage of various megalithic historical sites from across the globe. And well, between yesterday and then earlier this afternoon, I was editing his video in the little home studio, and I got it ready to go. Actually, I'm going to export it here after our live stream and get it on YouTube. Ready to go live at 7 p.m. tomorrow. 7 or 6?
6 p.m.
Yeah,
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
And
I think you got a little short. Did you make a short preview?
I made a short this afternoon of the video. Yeah, I must say, I gotta say something quick. This is just a quick gripe about the YouTube algorithm. I just don't understand it. It makes zero sense. Sometimes I'll spend like 4 hours making what I think is just the best short ever, and then I'll drop it and it gets like 3 views. And then sometimes I'll make a good short, but don't take that long, and all of a sudden it gets like 2,000 views in like an hour. I don't know how this works. I'll add keywords and hashtags and nothing happens. I don't add keywords and hashtags and then it blows up. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway,
I will say, when we kicked this whole channel off, I was using hashtag. I would go back in the descriptions of videos and then hashtag this, hashtag that. That obviously fell off after a month or two. Who wants to do that every day? I don't know how important that is nowadays.
I don't think it's that important. I really don't. If Sarah, if you're still watching, I wanted to ask if I could mention your little thing, your project. If not, tell me no. All right. Anyway, Wandering Wolf short. This is a short for our episode of Wandering Wolf coming up tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, Sean, 46, going back to school. 46. That's badass. Yeah, congratulations, man.
Always the right choice.
All right, Wandering Wolf. No, that's not it. It's not Wandering Wolf. Hold on. Stop sharing.
Short does a thing where it always like skips ahead one short when you start playing it.
It does. I don't quite get it. Atlantis and the Azores. This is it. Wandering Wolf. I think it was it. Yeah. All right, let's go.
One of the things that I've taken from getting, developing a close friendship with, people like Graham or Jimmy is realizing the immense amount of pressure that they're under, right, in the social sphere and in the public eye on a daily basis, and the toll that can take on an individual. I'm getting a taste of that. Mm-hmm. Just a tiny taste of that, and it's not fun. And these guys have such massive platforms that It's personal, it's direct, it's intentional, it's
mean.
meant to be hurtful, and it's constant.
Can we keep that track playing for like the rest of the episode at low volume? I was digging that.
Yeah, me too. It's hard. I can never figure out, like, I'm always trying to adjust the background music of my shorts because it never comes out right. That one seemed a little loud, but maybe it's just in my headset. We also have basically our biggest guest ever coming on Monday for Cosmic Monday, which is our series promoting the Cosmic Summit 2025 in Greensboro, North Carolina, June 20th to the 23rd.
You've been hearing me and Dave run our mouths about this Cosmic Summit week in and week out for months now. And if you haven't already made up your mind to go, now's a great time to decide. Go to cosmicsummit.com and press in the code Multiverse when you check out.
All caps.
To save 10% on your order.
Yeah, and we got to interview Mr. Randall Carlson. He's been on Joe Rogan like 5 times. He's got 459,000 subscribers on YouTube for his The Randall Carlson YouTube channel that also features his Squaring the Circle podcast. And we got to interview the man himself. That's dropping Monday, 6 p.m. for Cosmic Monday. I'm going to show a short on that as well. And I still can't believe that happened. So I'm just throwing that out there. All right.
Shout out to Scott Walter for hooking us up.
Yeah, shout out to TV Scott Walter for hooking us up. Here we go.
Now that we know the scale of things that can happen, that Azores microcontinent is now above sea level. And if you are wanting to pick out prime habitable real estate during the late glacial maximum, that island would have been a very nice place to put down the cornerstone for a society that might endure for millennia. And the idea of there being an island there is not ridiculous, because there's plenty of evidence of major subsidence along the mid-Atlantic ridge due to the rapid sea level rise. Now, in addition, when you've got North America is rebounding this way, next door North Atlantic is depressing this way. So what happens then? Think about this.
What happens then is the Earth gets a little haircut, huh, Mike?
I just watched a great Randall video. He dropped a new video on the volcanic winter of 536 AD. It was about an hour long. I watched that a couple nights ago. Excellent.
Yeah, very well researched. Tyrone, you're still planning to go to Cosmic Summit. Let's roll together. I promise I won't be sick this time, and you can listen to your loud music as much as you want the whole way up. It's only a 5-hour drive. I can handle that.
We're gonna blast some guitar music too, no doubt.
Yeah, but we can do some Tupac and some Dr. Dre, 2001, The Chronic, whatever you want. Let's do it. He's actually going to a NASCAR event tomorrow with his daughter in North Carolina. Very cool, Tyrone. We thought you were going to Contact in the Desert, Tyrone, but it's okay. We'll miss you there, but we'll see you at Cosmic Summit. And use our 10% multiverse to get off your tickets. All right.
Yeah.
Freaking Randall Carlson came on our show.
So that's my next test. After today's live, I'm going to export the Wandering Wolf episode, upload it to the YouTubes and etc. And then I reckon starting tomorrow, I got a few days now to prepare Mr. Randall's episode. I'm going to get it edited nicely and just put some good hard work into it.
It deserves it.
Yeah, and make it a product to be proud of. And that'll be dropping on Monday evening.
Yeah, and then actually next week we're dropping four videos, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're going to be gone all week. We interviewed a couple of filmmakers last week, amateur filmmakers, independent filmmakers, we'll call them. And we've interviewed another filmmaker and a professional actor in the past. So we're going to repackage those two and drop them on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we're going to drop our filmmaker Rob Rappa, as well as filmmaker Derek Mullins, interviews with those guys, and have basically a movie week while we're gone. So look forward to that as well.
Since Dave and I will mainly be hanging out in California, listening to people talk, all that good stuff. Not necessarily recording and editing videos this time.
Mm-hmm. What's going on in the solar system, Mike?
Ready for an article? This is a really cool one that my aunt sent me. Shout out to Aunt Sissy. Thank you for sending me this. Weather report from Saturn. Saturn's moon, Titan, is partly cloudy with occasional methane showers. This is an article about detecting evidence of cloud convection in the northern hemisphere of Titan using data from the James Webb Space Telescope and the Keck 2 telescope. Most of Titan's lakes and seas are located in the northern hemisphere and are occasionally replenished by a rain of methane and ethane. So whatever you do, don't go to Titan and light a match.
Probably doesn't smell great either, huh?
No, I imagine it's a very rich. I'm going to share, zoomed in on there, and read a little more from the article for you. Titan is an intriguing world cloaked in a yellowish, smoggy haze similar to the Earth. The atmosphere is mostly nitrogen, and it does have weather, including clouds and rain. But unlike the Earth, whose weather is driven by the evaporative cycles of water, Titan has a methane cycle. So there's methane that's freezing, and then melting, evaporating, condensing, forming clouds, raining. Sometimes it falls like an oily rain onto a solid surface where water is already frozen. So that's a good thing to remember. You can't freeze oil as easily as water. So you got clouds of oil slipping around, sliding around on top of ice. That's crazy.
That is wild.
But Titan is the only other place we know of in our solar system that has weather like Earth, in the sense that it has clouds and rainfall that lands back down on the surface of the planet and then eventually becomes rain again. Thought I'd share that. Here's the official article.
I wanted to say quick that the Keck 2 telescope is at the Keck Observatory in Hawaii. I along with ancient megalithic sites, I also have like aspirations to visit some of the best and biggest observatories and telescopes in the world, and that's one of them. The only one I've been to so far is Palomar Mountain in San Diego, but there's a bunch I want to go to.
Wow, that's pretty cool that you got to see that. Here was an article that I saw on the same website that piqued my interest because it's one of the topics that we cover on a regular basis. This is a radiocarbon spike from 14,350 years ago caused by the strongest known solar storm, or so the study confirms. We talk about these solar events on the channel every week. It's something to be aware of. This says that 8 such events were known to occur during the past 12,000 years, with the strongest one being that of 775 CE. I didn't read into this one as much as the Saturn weather because I just saw it before the show. I could not include it though. Miyake events. These dramatic spikes known as Miyake events were named after the Japanese researcher who discovered them, offering invaluable data for scientists studying solar activity. And they're using tree rings here, for to corroborate this information.
Tree rings in Newfoundland?
Yep.
Interesting.
Pretty fascinating stuff.
The sun always blows me away. I think about it all the time. I got a little bit on the sun we're going to do here shortly. So,
moving onward to the solar weather today, it's actually been pretty quiet. I went outside in the sun for a while this morning.
Me too.
Almost an hour. I don't want to stay out too long, get overexposed, but a little bit of direct sunlight's good for you.
I did that today as well. I did took my shirt off, did a bunch of yard work this morning. I've been trying to do that every day this week and get that vitamin D going.
Yep.
Store that up for the winter.
As you can see, it's been about 5 or 6 days since the last significant geomagnetic activity going on Earth. So nice and quiet this week. I wanted to share a quick clip of a video by geophysicist Stefan Burns, who I hear is going to be at the Cosmic Summit, if I'm not mistaken, talking about these coronal holes. We've been tracking the coronal hole. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller as it rotates in front of the Earth. And he found a cool clip of the shape and size of this hole going all the way back to October.
I saw this on X. I saw a little clip on X of this.
Really
Check it out.
impressive.
We can look at all 9 rotations actually with this video here. This goes all the way back to the beginning of October. So this is October 13th, and we see this coronal hole there is just a tiny little wisp. And then it got quite a bit bigger. We see that this one formed in the southern hemisphere that kind of converged together in December. Then they actually combined together with rotation number 7. We see this is very, very large. That was the biggest. Rotation 8 was also very large. So I think slightly smaller, though did have this extent down there as well. So perhaps it was the same size. Now though, with rotation number 9, with this new lateral extent that's coming into view, I think this is the biggest rotation yet, or at least it is equivalent to 8 and 7. So these coronal holes are getting anomalously large. This is the largest coronal hole that we've seen in a decade plus, and now it's done 9 rotations around the sun. An interesting thing to note is that these coronal holes emit these high-speed streams into the solar wind, and when those hit the Earth, there's a variety of geophysical effects. We're not going to explore that in today's video, but there is a strong connection between these high-speed stream impacts and enhancements of severe weather on the planet, and also with high-magnitude earthquakes and kind of an increase in global seismic energy release.
There we go. So coronal holes, while they're not as spectacularly active as sunspots, they have high-speed solar wind that creates almost like a magnetic linkage with the Earth. This high-speed solar wind is just swift and direct, and can really activate the Earth's energetic cycles. Sunspots, on the other hand, are magnetic anomalies that can release solar outbursts, solar flares, and filament eruptions. Those are the things that give us coronal mass ejections. So the bright spots are sunspots. That's where you get CMEs. Dark spots are coronal holes. That's where your high-speed solar wind comes from. And that's it in a nutshell for this week on the solar side.
Cool.
Let's
Actually,
talk about the color of the sun, though. Let's talk about the color of the sun, Dave. A few people mentioned this.
I do want to do that, and I'm going to get right to it. But I wanted to ask if you had heard about this. The U.S. ran a solar storm emergency drill. Did you hear about this?
I did. I forget what YouTube I heard this on in the last week. I heard it at one or two places.
I'm just gonna. I saw it on a Gizmodo article.
I think it
but
was
here's
on Suspicious Observers.
Yeah, this is the real thing apparently though. But the U.S. agencies are conducting a solar storm emergency drill today, which was May 19th, while scientists, PhD enthusiasts, and aurora borealis photographers argue with me that the CMEs didn't cause the blackouts in more than 6 countries over the past month. This guy, open-minded approach, and a lot of other people on X think that solar activity is increasing and causing geomagnetic issues on the Earth. And I don't know how true that is, but there's a lot of catastrophizing about it going on right now. And it correlates with the U.S. running a solar storm emergency drill, which I thought was interesting. So I just wanted to point that out. You know, I don't think we're about to get melted by the sun, but it does happen occasionally in the history of our planet. I'm going to get to that a little bit later during our book review. But I did want to share. So going along on that theme, this guy, he's from channel Space Weather News. He's always talking about this as well. But he released a video last week that I kind of got me thinking. So the title of the video is "Who Remembers the Yellow Sun?" And in the comments, lots of people are saying the sun used to be yellow, now it's white. The sky used to be blue, now it's not so blue. I'm going to play the quick video. It's about 3 minutes, so bear with me. But I want you guys to think about this, audience and chat, as I've been thinking about it this week. Do you think that the sun is becoming more white and the sky is becoming less yellow and the sky is becoming more of a pale blue? Have you noticed that? Let's check it out.
The memory of the yellow sun fades by the day. kept alive more in story and common description than in our visual observations. Most people would tell you the sun actually looks white when it reaches any significant measure above the horizon. The visible appearance of the sun is a function of two things: the emission of the sun and the lenses through which we view it. Those lenses include things like our eyes, the atmosphere, the ionic layers at the top of the sky. When it comes to the sun's emission, this is different than reflection. When a shirt looks yellow, that's because it is absorbing every color except yellow and reflecting those photons back to your eyes. But emission is different, and the sun's actual color is white. This is a combination of its emitted wavelengths and its temperature. The sun emits all visible colors, but blue and violet and green are filtered well by the atmosphere, leaving the yellows and the oranges to dominate, or at least that's how it used to be. Interesting FYI, the most powerful visible wavelength emission of the sun is actually green. More towards yellow-green than blue-green, sure, but still green. What we see is also a function of its black body radiation, however, and this can be visualized when you see the colors of a flame change as they get further from the source and drop in temperature, which is the same reason why stars in the sky look the way they do. It's more about how hot they are than their preferred wavelength of emission. But our star is starting to look more white, even here from the ground, so bright it wears a crown at the top of the sky. Have you noticed? Have you noticed early springs and midsummer struggles with your plants? Those with sensitive skin might have noticed burning faster, more easily, and at earlier or later times in the day. None of these are coincidence, and indeed, the filter, the lenses through which we view the sun and the heavens are changing. Earth's magnetic field weakened slightly from its peak thousands of years ago to meet a rapid shifting paradigm that resulted in 10% of the field lost from 1859 to about 2000. Then that number was updated to 15% just a decade later in 2010, and the leader of that mission from the ESA said the magnetic field is readying to flip, that we'd accelerated to 5% field loss per decade rather than per century. This loss of the field is a change in the outermost electromagnetic shield of the planet, through which the electromagnetic light waves are passing to get to our eyes. That changes the interaction of the upper atmosphere and ionosphere and changes their altitude, density, and chemical composition. We are losing our planetary shield against electromagnetism from space, and the white sun screams that indeed more electromagnetism is getting in. Now, to review that bit about the magnetic field loss, as the magnetic poles are shifting, the key aspect here is the strength or loss of strength of the field. We crept along at near peak strength for a while and then began tanking 2 centuries ago, accelerating further and further, and now they have pretty much stopped updating that loss rate and the total percentage down. Since the 2017 acceleration, centered over the Pacific LLSVP, the field seems utterly mum on the numbers. But by the way, the changes on Earth are accompanied by similar changes on other planets and on the sun. And speaking of how the sun looks, the changes that come next are going to be a bit unnerving, so it may help to get acquainted now. From the changes on Earth to the planets to the sun, and the known cycle and what to expect. Click the disaster playlist underneath the video or on our channel homepage. Subscribe and we'll see you in the morning for the daily update.
Shout out Space Weather News for scaring the crap out of me once a week or so. Look, guys, first of all, we know the sun is not static. It changes, it does different things. That's why we cover it weekly on the show. We know that there is a magnetic pole shift currently happening. It's cyclical. I don't know a whole lot about it technically. Mike, I don't know if you could even shed some light on that a little bit, exactly how that works, or kind of how that works.
The magnetic pole of the Earth does reverse periodically. It has been doing so as far back as we can measure, which is separate from the actual spin or pole of the Earth physically.
Yeah, and I feel like this isn't something that we would notice in a human lifespan. That's just my consideration. And I wanted to say, shout out the Goob. He's been talking the Spicy Sun on his channel about 2 years. The sun getting spicy is currently the greatest threat to humanity, in his opinion. And hey, throw your channel in the chat. We'll make sure to link it below as well. Thank you so much for joining the show. I believe this is your first time joining us, so thank you so much. I'm going to talk during our book reviews about Robert Schoch in Forgotten Civilization, the book I'm reading right now. He also thinks that the sun is the greatest threat to humanity in his current estimation. Yeah. So ever since I heard that about a week and a half ago, I go outside all the time, but I've just decided to really start paying attention to this color of the sky in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening when I take my walks. And I don't look directly at the sun, but maybe I'll take a little peek. And I gotta say, it looks exactly the same as when I was a kid. I don't really notice any difference. Do you, Mike?
No, and I've actually been thinking about this question for a few weeks since we considered discussing it on the show. I was like, well, let me start observing a little more closely. I can't say that things are different from my memories today. I can't personally say that I think the colors are different, to me at least. But then again, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm not remembering that far back. I don't know.
Correct. Scarlett said she does remember it being yellow. Jeff up north said he's outside right now and the sky's been a deep blue all day. Maybe it depends on where you're at on the planet. Hey, chat, let us know. What do you guys think? Does it seem different than when you were a kid or not? I haven't noticed anything observably different. I spend a lot of time outside, though. Part of me wonders if it has something to do with, like, if you spend less and less time outside over the course of your life, maybe you're less resilient to the sun, that kind of thing. Maybe age-related changes in eyesight might have something to do with it. I don't know.
There are scientists that keep track of this, though. Off to the side, this is the rabbit hole that started while we were watching the video. I'm trying to find some article that shows whether the peak wavelength. So the peak wavelength kind of is what color the thing appears, right? But it's radiating in all different colors. That it does change over time, but I'm trying to find a nice tidy graph that might capture that. It has changed over time.
Well, I personally don't notice, and I don't find it burns me any worse in different times of the day or anything like that. But like I said, I spend a lot of time outside, so I'm pretty resilient to the sun.
Here's something, I'll show this really quick, describing the difference in a peak solar cycle and solar maximum and solar minimum.
Okay.
But this was even just between 2 years, between 2021 and 2023. So low activity. This would be a much more boring segment to the show with a sun like this every week, because this is more like what we've been seeing lately. Tyrone, thanks for weighing in on the visual perception of color. This is not even a debate. This is really just a data gathering discussion. Everyone should weigh in on this. Maybe it's something that, I don't know, as far as like short-term vision goes, you tend to lose vision, I don't know, at a certain point at a certain age. Maybe it's something after a certain age, some colors perceive different. But if it was rapid, like the loss of near vision, you would notice that. You'd be like, oh, the colors changed just as rapidly as I went from not needing readers to needing readers. So maybe that's not a good explanation. I'm thinking out loud.
I just don't.
Over time.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, obviously, we're not a static planet. That's one of the themes of the show. But I do not think the sun changed. The color of the sky or the color of the sun has changed during my lifetime. Rubate, have you actually noticed with observing, like just your own personal observation, just a color change in the sky or the sun? Just curious.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm caught up on the chat. We've been bouncing back and forth. I know whenever I'm looking away, Dave's putting messages up, and then sometimes I go to put a message up.
No worries. Welcome back, Jim Fry. His brother and I have both noticed increasing burning activity intensity of now our whitest sun. Okay. See, it's not the same with everyone. Everyone has a different perception of this. And I wanted to ask Jim, where approximately on the Earth are you guys located? And so that we know, and the goob, where are you located? He says, I think the sun has great potential for massive damage anytime. The sun isn't necessarily the problem, though. Without our magnetic field, the sun doesn't need to do anything extraordinary. Normal solar activity becomes very destructive if we have no or little magnetic field, and our field is starting to collapse. Yeah, that's what I've been seeing all over X lately. The goob, I'd love to bring you on the show on a live stream in a future episode to talk about that. Because we've been looking for somebody to talk to us about that, so we can get a little bit more information. Mike's going to read a book about that next, are you not?
Yes.
So
I'm actually trying to pull up this. We're improvising now. Yeah, I think this was it. Yeah.
Jim's in Michigan, 45th parallel. Thank you very much. While Mike's doing that, I just want to say you can support our channel by going to our Buy Me a Coffee. Brittany's going to drop that in the chat. We got a couple of subscribers, and I can't believe people subscribe to us. We do work hard on this show, though, to bring you guys a fun live stream and bring you guys a bunch of engaging interviews. And so anything helps. And every time we get a subscriber, we all text me, Brittany, and Mike, oh my God, that's so exciting. So you can support us through Buy Me a Coffee. You can also support us through buying the book of the month. We do a new one every month. This is our friend Adam Butler, DMT Field Guide. You can use the Amazon links Brittany's about to post. We're also affiliated with Via Hemp Legal THC products. Free shipping across, or legal shipping across all 50 states. Get 20% off your first order with Maya. What do we got, Mike?
This is tracking the location of the Earth's magnetic North Pole. That was what I was trying to pull up. Took me a moment longer to find that.
No worries, perfect timing for support the channel.
Yep.
That was next in the list anyway. NAGPRA, yeah, we want to talk to you about NAGPRA. Send us a message. We are very interested in talking about NAGPRA on our show. The Native American Grave Repatriation Act.
We talked about that at some Native American mound sites that we visited early in our channel days, as well as with one of our guests, Dr. Greg Little.
Dr. Greg Little, and then also with Ricardo and
Tyrone.
Yeah, Tyrone. Somebody else too. Anyway, it comes up a lot on our show. So
Rick Osmond.
Yes, Rick Osmond. That's it. So shout out to all those guys.
Anyhow, yeah, Polar Wander. Yeah, the Goob. If you want to come on and talk shifting poles, all that good stuff. We talk about this every week. That's what we do.
Yeah, thank you so much for the coffee, Jim. I wasn't. Were we even sure it was him? Yeah, we were. Thank you so much.
Donation.
We didn't want to say, we didn't know if we were going to embarrass you or whatever if we said that, but we really appreciate that, man. That's huge.
Yep.
Irish cream, no, we don't need that, but it's actually going towards our drone if we ever get a drone. So that's what the money's actually going towards. So yeah. What's next, Mike? What do we got?
I wanted to give a quick shout out to my friend Greg Hayes. Greg's one of my buddies from growing up and going to school in Texas. And he made a website. It's a blog. Greg is an engineer over in Texas called I Trust the Process. And this blog is in its very early nascent stage, but I'm proud of the work that he did. He's got some pretty cool articles. What's new in the world of engineering? And this is about a construction site at a hospital, MD Anderson, that Greg is near to. And he goes in depth about all the engineering construction techniques, the companies that are doing it. He's got pictures of them as they're building this. And I'm just super impressed, so I wanted to shout it out. I included a link. I added a link to the description of the episode. Here's one that was just a deep dive on cranes and trusses, which who doesn't appreciate, how we build tall buildings and lift heavy things.
We should bring him on and ask him what he thinks about ancient building techniques. Do you think he has anything to say about that? That's in the news lately.
I totally tried convincing him to come on the show, and I talked with him on the phone the other day. So it's not for lack of trying. And you're welcome on the show anytime, Greg. Shout out.
And shout out to your blog, Trust the Process. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, a little bit of space. Let's do a little bit of space, Mike, before we go into our contacts. Yeah. So, Cosmic Neighborhood is part of what we do on the show. A lot of my friends and family know that like I'm very interested in space, and it's one of the things that I think about all the time. And a bunch of people sent me articles and whatnot talking about how we found out that our universe is revolving around a black hole, and there's I really appreciate science communicators who do a good job boiling some of this stuff down to make it digestible for everyone else. A really good science communicator is hopefully to be a friend of our channel soon. Love to have her on the show, Astro Alexandra. Shout out Astro Alexandra. But the title of this is, did the James Webb Space Telescope discover evidence that we're living inside a black hole? Let's find out.
Did NASA's James Webb Telescope discover that our universe might exist inside of a black hole? Like, kinda, but emphasis on the might. JWST took images of deep space, so these are all galaxies and they're extremely far away and extremely old, forming in the early universe. Well, researchers at Kansas State University started categorizing how those galaxies were spinning, and they found something startling. They found that 2/3 of these galaxies were spinning in a clockwise rotation and only 1/3 were spinning counterclockwise. That's weird. You would think it would be a pretty even 50-50 split if the conditions were like normal. So the fact that they're not indicates that maybe the conditions weren't normal. There are a bunch of possibilities. One of those possibilities is that the early universe itself was spinning, and so the galaxies just started spinning the same way. One of the ways that could happen is if our universe formed inside of a black hole, which is terrifying to think about because that might mean that we would be inside an even larger universe. This would mean that we would have to rethink a lot of what we thought we knew about the universe, but it is not the only option. This study only looked at 263 galaxies out of billions, so these numbers, they could change. And the researchers think that the rotation of our galaxy might play a role because the Milky Way is in the more rare group of galaxies that's rotating counterclockwise. Researchers say that they expect light coming from galaxies that are rotating opposite of Earth's rotation to be brighter, so maybe we just have an easier time seeing galaxies that are rotating clockwise. Either way, this is a really cool observation that I think a lot more people are going to be looking at in the future, and hopefully we can get some answers, because right now the answer is we don't know.
What do you think about that, Mike?
I wouldn't doubt it. It makes sense. Once you fall inside of a black hole, everything's in there, and it would probably seem really big. Once you're on the inside of it, you can fit a whole universe in there.
It does make sense, but I just wanted to point out as a rabid consumer of what do you want to call it? Space news and space clickbait. If you, generally speaking, if you see a mainstream article saying something along the lines of James Webb Space Telescope discovered that we're in a black hole, look for words like might and may and possibly in the article, because they're going to be all over the place. She was talking about, I think she said, 243 galaxies out of like a gajillion, right? Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting observation. Just beware of the clickbait, because as Socrates says, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. And to emphasize that, I love stuff like this. Hold on, let me find it quick. I love stuff like this because this really emphasizes for me that we know nothing. Let's check it out. This is the sharpest ever view of the Andromeda Galaxy, showing more than 100 million stars. So this is just one galaxy and the stars in it, out of like hundreds of billions of galaxies, okay, with hundreds of billions of stars. All right, so just check this out. So a lot of times when I show people stuff like that, where I talk about, the numbers involved in the universe and stuff, I get a lot of people say to me, I don't like thinking about that. It scares me. It makes me feel small and insignificant. It makes me feel the exact opposite. Like, it makes me feel like we're part of something just absolutely mind-bendingly, incomprehensibly spectacular. And how fucking awesome is that? Excuse my language. But in our current understanding of the universe, I always look at articles in science, popular science and whatnot with a grain of salt. And I usually go to find a good science communicator like Astro Alexandra to contextualize it for me. And I just wanted to suggest that everyone else do the same thing because, true wisdom is knowing that we know nothing. Right, Mike?
Yep. No one to admit that you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, why act like you know everything, Zahi Hawaz? Why?
Did everyone get to see Zahi Hawass on Joe Rogan by now? I hope you did. If you haven't, there's no excuse, because not only did I watch the episode, I watched 2 or 3 rehashes. Now they're rehashing the rehashes of the rehashes of the episode. All the daily YouTubers have been putting out videos daily about it ever since the episode.
Mike and I were going to talk about it last week during our live stream that got canceled unceremoniously. But look, you can't move a 2.2 million pound one piece of stone with wooden logs and sleds and rope pulleys and manpower. You just can't do it, Mike. You can't, okay?
I really wasn't even interested in the episode from a technical standpoint. I went in, I was not paying attention to any of the argument technicalities or anything. I was purely entertained. I really wanted to go. It was
entertaining, yes.
I wanted to go to the Goodwill and get a burgundy sport coat today just so I could come on the episode and do an impression.
The pyramids! I discovered the pyramids! That's my Zahi Hawaz impression. That's all I got.
He was so worked up the whole time. It was super entertaining. But honestly, though, I don't have nothing against him personally.
Me neither. I'm not mad at Zahi. Look, he was terrible. He exposed himself. I'm a compassionate guy. I actually felt a little bad for him, but I can feel bad for the worst types of people, just because everyone's human, man. And I think there was a language barrier. I think he has a minor he really doesn't understand how the internet works, how AI works. It was extremely embarrassing that he denied the existence of Zep Tepi, which anyone who knows anything about Egyptian mythology is very familiar with, the well-documented Egyptian first time that goes back up to 30,000 years, and it has lists of kings and gods and all kinds of stuff. And it's just well documented. How the hell does this guy not know that? I think he just was denying its existence because anything that might call into question his narrative, he was going to do that to, I guess.
But Dave, inside the pyramid, we find 2 chambers. I excavated the first chamber myself. Right. I excavated the second chamber myself too. It's in my book.
He excavated apparently he's discovered everything in Egypt, and there's no need to discover anything else because they know how to do it. But it's in his book. He won't show you unless you actually buy his book. So go ahead and buy his book.
Everybody was giving him a really hard time for that. So we're late to the party. We can't even make fun of him for that at this point.
No, I'm not even mad. I think it was a groundbreaking episode of JRE for that reason. The narrative that we've all been told that they've been saying for 100 years, I knew was wrong when I was 10. I just don't think obviously now we can't. Egyptology has an anthropological space within our ancient past, okay? But they can no longer be the authority on the engineering and architectural feats of the pre-dynastic and dynastic Egyptians because the things that they say are just ridiculous.
Speaking of pre-dynastic, check out our Cosmic Monday episode with Adam Young, featuring the pre-dynastic small vases made from granite. Very interesting, anomalous artifacts.
Yeah, that came out last Monday. Some of these things are pre-dynastic and are absolutely perfect. He's going to be at Cosmic Summit, but he's not bringing any vases with him. However, Matt Bell of Limitless, Matt Bell's Limitless, is that what it's called? He's going to be there, and he has one of the largest collections in the world of these vases. And apparently, we're going to get a chance to touch them. Mike, are you going to pick one of those things up?
Heck yeah.
You are. I don't know. I don't trust myself. I know it's granite, but I just feel like I'm going to be that guy who drops the thing.
And I don't know if you saw the tweet, but apparently Matt Bell has a date to record an episode with Zai Hawass for his show. So Zai Hawass may be making the podcast rounds. Who knows? Who else would he be on? Do you think he would go on Theo Vaughn or maybe Patrick Bet-David?
Yeah. We got somebody new in the chat. Tanya Marie, ministers all.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, me neither. But hi, Tanya. Thank you so much for showing up in the chat. Scarlett, thanks for watching my video. Man, we got the chat's blowing up tonight. Jeff says about that, he came without any proof to back up his claims, watched a news video where they were revering him as a real-life Indiana Jones. Yeah, I mean, look, this stuff's all been in question since the 90s with John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Robert Duvall, Dr. Robert M. Schock, who I'm going to be talking about shortly. Look, I knew the narrative was wrong when I was 10. You don't have to be an academic or an Egyptologist to know that you can't do that stuff with the tools that they had.
That episode was only 2 hours. Zai on Joe Rogan, so I bet they cut a bunch. I bet there was a bunch that they clipped out.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah. What are we reading this week? Let's
we're
get
getting
into
close
that.
to the hour mark. I think we've done all the little bullet points in our notes. I'm just glancing at them. We've got two kind of chunks left to the show. We wanted to do a book review segment, talk about books we've been reading, and we wanted to preview that Contact in the Desert speaker lineup, since eventually we're going to have to decide what session we want to sit down at anyway. Which one do you want to do?
Let's do books first. You can go first.
Actually, give me a moment to pull something up.
Yeah. So also support the channel. Promo code Multiverse. All caps on content or CosmicSummit.com. Promoted by George Howard. This is where you're going to get to see, the cutting edge of, lost ancient history and alternative theories on where humanity comes from. We're going to have Robert Schock there. We're going to have Randall Carlson, who we did an episode with. It's coming out on Monday. Matt Bell's going to be there. Ben Van Kerkwyk of Uncharted X is going to be there. All these guys from these podcasts, all these researchers, Danny Hillman's going to be there. You get the cool part about it is you get to hang out with these people. You get to talk to them in the hallway. You get to hang out with them at the after party. It's going to be a blast. June 20th to the 23rd.
Let's go. Thanks for stalling for time, Dave. I had this library website pulled up, but it logged me out on a timer or something because I pulled it up before the show. But we wanted to do a book review segment. I've actually been talking on and off about recording a video for this. Well, we'll do it live. This is reaching back to last year and just some of the top books that I read, including ones that I checked out from the library. The Birth of Loud, History of Leo Fender and Les Paul. Yeah, I'm a card-carrying member for my local public library. How do you feel about that, Dave?
That is badass, Mike. That is, I just make 3 clicks on Amazon, but I appreciate people who support public libraries.
Now, I didn't walk there as much this spring because I was in school last year when I was playing hooky. I would walk to the library. There's a library. It's about 20 minutes walk, which 15, 20 minutes, which when you got a relaxed day and it's not too hot outside, I would do that every other week, check out a few books. And so here's the review of that. Birth of the Loud, Leo Fender, Les Paul. Really interesting how these these guys, and there were a couple other key players in there, basically invented the electric guitar all contemporaneously. Started really with like swing music, sort of Western music, country players, before rock and roll was even a thing.
A lot of people don't know that Mike is a musician and was looking into being a performer at one point in his life, and then decided to be an engineer instead.
I'm an amateur. I'm a talented, passionate, but amateur. But yeah, and it's been a whole lot of time learning how to play guitar as an adult, which is another fun hobby. I could do a whole episode on guitars. But thanks, Dave. Oops. Dang, I didn't mean to stop sharing. I'm going to share the other one. Moving onward. This is Best Before the Evolution and Future of Processed Food. A really fascinating look at the food that we eat and sort of the evolution of food technology. So like learning how to make cheese was preservation technology in and of itself at first. Cheese will stay good longer than milk will, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Same thing from like salting meat and curing meat all the way to the way we package and process meat today. This was about a year ago that I read this. It's a bit of a stretch, but I wanted to recommend this to anybody that's curious to know more about what's in your fridge and pantry.
And kind of how we got there.
Yes. And I appreciated how the author didn't come out hot and heavy and say, well, everything processed is killing you, it's bad for you, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, we know that there's some issues with our modern technological diet. I appreciated the historical perspective. Like, what were the challenges of transporting fruits and vegetables? What were the challenges to processing grains, all that stuff.
Well, it's how we support a global civilization too,
Yes.
right?
And I was surprised to learn in the end, of course, the highly processed foods, like highly modified foods, not so good for you. But some ready-made or quick package, quick preparation type of meals you can get at the grocery store are actually just fine. And that if we are efficient in the way we organize the operation, that it can save the consumer from having to prepare the food, the time from having to prepare the food. So there's a way to do it right.
Got it.
Moving onward. This was another book I checked out. So now we're getting into the summer last year, Origin of Humankind by Richard Leakey, who's a famous anthropologist. This guy's the real deal. He is one of the authoritative sources of knowledge on human history. I bought another book by him later last year when I was on vacation that I found, not this exact one. History of our species is something that Dave and I are fascinated with and interested in. And it's another one of those things where we just need to be honest and admit what we don't know. Science doesn't have all the answers. I mean, we know a lot about our history, but we don't know everything. Not for sure.
Yeah, there's another book on that topic that I read a couple of years ago. I'm looking it up right now. It's called Sapiens, A Brief History of Human Time by Yuval Noah Harari. I highly recommend that one. This interesting look into like how we became these like modern iPhone holding, internet using sapiens that we are today.
That's a good book too, and I haven't read it, but I watched his lectures of it. Well, moving onward, this is my last library book. I don't remember what after this was. The Memory Code by Dr. Lynn Kelly. Dr. Lynn Kelly, I'm trying to remember, she's a historian of some sort. Basically did this fascinating expose on how non-literate cultures use these various devices, whether it was handheld, whether it was something like a necklace or a bracelet, or whether it was something big like a sculpture in the town center. They were all used to facilitate memorizing vast amounts of information when you had otherwise no written manuscript, no pages or carvings. How did they remember how to deal with all the crops, deal with predators, just the basic underpinnings of civilization as you had it? Not that hunter-gatherer civilization was advanced, but it still was a civilized culture.
That's always a theme of our show as well. I think that's a good segue into my books I wanted to talk about. What do you think? I don't have any slides to show, so you can go ahead and drop those down. So last year at Cosmic Summit, I brought this book, Voices of the Rocks by Dr. Robert Schoch, with Robert Aquinas McNally. It's a book from 1999. I've had it since like 2008 or something like that. But I brought it to have him sign. And then when I saw him, I got him to sign it. And him and his wife were like, "You need the new book. You need the new book." And so I was like, shoot, I should have brought the new book. But I told him, hey, this one means a lot to me. And so it's a really good book. It's just how he looks into ancient catastrophes and ancient civilizations and draws some connections between the two. Not in any not in any specific way that like it's broad, you know. He doesn't say this catastrophe destroyed this civilization or anything like that. He just suggests the ideas. And remember, this is back in 1999 when an academic was really putting his neck out, even saying something like that. There still are nowadays, to be fair. A few years later, I got the book Pyramid Quest. Same guy, Robert Aquinas McNally, Secrets of the Great Pyramid and the Dawn of Civilization. Basically talks about some speculation about how the pyramid was built, when, and how that parallels with the dawn of civilization, and how civilization is likely older than what we're taught. And again, I think it's going to be common knowledge taught in schools very soon, within the next decade. That's going to be the narratives that we don't know, and that in certain areas of the world, they were doing things that we don't quite understand. But when we interviewed Dr. Robert Schoch a few weeks ago, and I must say, I got to say that interview kind of fell through, you guys. We're still going to be able to use some of it in a mashup we're going to do for our Cosmic Monday series, but we had an audio glitch that totally kind of ruined the interview. So Robert and his wife, Catherine Ulysses, are going to give us a do-over after Cosmic Summit. Bit disappointing, but anyway, when we interviewed him, I showed him this, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to get you to sign this one at this year's Cosmic Summit." And then they told me again for the second time, "But you need the new one. You need the new one." And I'm like, "Yeah, but this one means so much to me. I've had it for such a long time." So I did order the new one, Forgotten Civilizations, New Discoveries on the. Oh shoot! There you go. Mike's got one too. I didn't know that. That's exciting. So you can get it. Did you order that?
I did actually. I actually read it from the library last year, like right before Cosmic Summit, and then several months later, I bought a copy.
The revised and expanded edition?
Which is actually
nice.
What
the
library had too. The library had this one. It was the most up to date.
Okay. You want the revised expanded edition because it's got a last chapter in which Catherine Ulysses herself helped him make the discoveries on. Catherine Ulysses is his wife, who is not a scientist. She was a Broadway dancer, but she's made a few different contributions to what Robert's doing. But the subtitle is New Discoveries on the Solar-Induced Dark Age. Essentially, Robert believes that around a coronal mass ejection, CME, around 97 BCE triggered catastrophic climate changes that ended advanced ancient civilizations, possibly pyramid builders, possibly the people in the civilization in Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe and all that stuff, and ended those civilizations. And he believes that our civilization didn't start to reboot after that event till about 4,000 to 3,000 BCE. These outbursts, really, according to Dr. Schoch, released powerful plasma discharges, streams of charged particles that interacted with Earth's atmosphere and surface. Dr. Schoch connects these plasma events to ancient carvings, particularly the Rongo glyphs of Eastern Island and patterns at Göbekli Tepe. I'm going to show a picture that Robert Schock emailed us, which I don't know. I'm not trying to flex here, guys. I just honestly,
gracious.
I'm just blown. I am gracious. I'm just blown away that like Robert Schock's like emailing us. Okay, it's because I've been following his work for like 30 years.
It is pretty magical,
even get it,
and it's something we should be proud of. So
I am proud of it. That's what I mean. Like I just beam ear to ear every time I hear that. But I just wanted to. I've seen stuff like this in Southern California, and what you're looking at is basically patterns of plasma discharge that look pretty similar to petroglyphs by the Rongo civilization. And Dr. Schock uses that as a potential evidence that ancient civilizations observed this coronal mass ejection that reset civilization. That was the theme of his presentation last year at Cosmic Summit as the keynote speaker. And I'm about 100-ish pages into the book. It's very digestible, very well written, very well sourced. And I think this is interesting. I don't know if I would make these connections, but I mean, you got to say that there is some similarities. What do you think, Mike?
It's wild how the similarities between the Rongo script from Easter Island closely resemble plasma discharge, like self-organizing plasma fields that would have been visible from the surface of the Earth in a series of wild geomagnetic flares and intense geomagnetic activity, possibly during the magnetic pole shift of the Earth, when the Earth's magnetic defenses were down.
Yeah, for sure. Robert Schock, Sarah. Robert Schock. That's just an inside joke. Goob sent us an email. Thank you, sir. We'd love to bring you on the channel.
I was actually looking up your channel while we were watching one of the clips, and shoot, Goob's like us. Got a handful of videos. He's been a live stream warrior for about a year now. Yeah, great job kicking off a YouTube channel. You got a cool one. Let's collaborate.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And Scarlett says libraries need more. Sarah, God damn it. Scarlett says libraries need more attention. Agreed. And yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. And actually, you read a book I recommended, which made me super happy, Mike. What did you think of the first book of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I don't know how this one has slipped through the cracks. Well, I guess I hadn't read a whole lot of fiction in many years, but Hitchhiker's Guide was a fun book, a quick jaunt through the whole galaxy, I guess, and around the corner and back. I was entertained by it. I don't know if I was telling you, I got a little part-time retail job this summer, sitting behind a counter, so I'll have a little time to read a book. And I read the whole Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy first one. I haven't read this whole volume, but I read the first book in a couple of days. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining. It's funny. I couldn't put it down when I first read it. I read this back in like 1998 or something. I'm aging myself here, but I was on the bus going to work, and I remember just laughing out loud, LOLing, like at certain parts of that book. It's really funny. It's got this dry British humor about it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. The whole series of books are great. So thank you, Mr. Adams, for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And if you haven't read it and you need to read something fun, lighthearted fiction, go ahead fiction. Go ahead and check it out.
Very fast-paced, very witty, very, very funny, very entertaining book.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we're wrapping up.
Before that, a couple more books. Actually, the next book I'm going to read is this Path of the Pole by Charles Hapgood. I picked this up at the local used bookstore last year. This is about continental realignment type of pole shifting. It's not just the magnetic pole flips, but the continents slide around with it. And Albert Einstein helped to shore up the calculations for his second edition of the book. So, this is good stuff.
Interesting. You should read that before we bring the noob on, so at least we can have conversations with him about it, huh?
Well, and on the Randall interview, he asked if we had heard of it, and I was like, oh yes, it's right on the shelf, which it was, but that doesn't mean I've read it, so I need to go ahead and read the book now. Okay, the last book I have is a good segue to the speakers for Contacting the Desert, because the book that I just finished before that was Communion by Whitley Strieber. Classic UFO text story of Whitley's anomalous phenomena, anomalous dreams, anomalous activities that affected him and his family, and then groups of other people that he began to talk with. Whitley was a fictional author. He was that was his job, was writing fiction books. So when he decided to publish this story in 1987 as a true story of what was happening to him, it kind of turned some heads. And I got to point out, shout out to my friend Kurt who loaned me this book. This is, as far as I can tell, this is from the first printing in 1987. It's in mint condition, and I appreciate that from a collector's standpoint. I'll be returning this to you shortly now that I've finished reading it finally. It was pretty good. I did not prepare since we just talked about 10 books, to be honest, I didn't prepare like a good review of it, but basically, we talked about anomalous dreams, out-of-body experiences that start during dreams, sleep paralysis, and then what Whitley did was went with Bud Hopkins and who is the name of the fella, the doctor, the hypnotherapist. So Whitley had these blanks in his memory where we couldn't remember what happened. He would have hours and hours of time that was unaccounted for, where he thought maybe only 1 or 2 hours had transpired. And hypnotherapy is a way that you can go recover those lost memories with a properly unbiased therapist that is not going to suggest you with the questions. It's one technique to recovering lost memories of the past.
Neat. And that is a good segue into, because we're gonna be talking about all that stuff at Contact in the Desert in Palm Springs next week. We've had guests on, so Mike and I like to do we like to do our interests on the show, and so that includes lost ancient civilization, paranormal phenomenon, UFO, UAP kind of stuff, and that's why we decided to go to the largest UFO conference in the world next week, and we're very excited about it. We've had 2 speakers from Contact in the Desert on. Yvonne Smith, a hypnotherapist, specializing in PTSD in UAP, UFO abduction cases. Check out her episode, dropped last week. We've had Jason Quitt on our show twice. He's an author and regular speaker and experiencer of out-of-body experiences and all kinds of different things. I'm looking forward to seeing him and meeting him in person.
Numerous Canadian connections. We have strong Canadian connections on this show, starting with Dave, our fearless leader.
Yes. Yeah. Shout out Canada. I'm a dual citizen of Canada and the United States. I grew up in Canada, so I'm proud to have a bunch of Canadian supporters of our show. Eric Degner. Shout out to Mr. Eric Degner, and UAP UFO experiencer, who we did an interview with a while back. Check out his episode as well. Very nice guy. He's going to be there next week, so looking forward to meeting him as well. And I got the speakers ready.
So for this last segment, we're basically done with our scheduled programming, links, the list of books that we were going to go through. We just wanted to end the show by scrolling through some of the speakers and starting to spitball ideas of which lecture we're going to go to. Maybe we'll see ahead of time. Are there 2 really good ones that we're going to have to split up and go report back? We don't have to decide exactly which one we're going to go to. We might not make it to the whole every hour, but I figured,
it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. The Goob, really quick, wanted to address his question. Have you guys explored the Nazca mummies, the Tridactyl
No, I've been
ones?
watching that on Cosmic Road. He updates us on those every other day. Cosmic Road is a great channel. If you haven't watched them already, Nazca mummies, Tridactyl mummies, basically extraterrestrials of the past are currently engaged in a race with ETs from the present, and who will reveal themselves sooner, faster? The mummies with the tridactyls.
Yeah, I did a lot of Cosmic Road during the drone phenomenon, New Jersey drone thing. I was watching Cosmic Road every morning, but from November, December, January. But I currently am not watching Cosmic Road first thing in the morning. So I have not been following the Nazca Mummies thing. If you wouldn't mind, on X or somewhere on one of our platforms, Goob, send us some information that you've been collecting on that. Yeah. We'd like to learn more. So I don't watch TV, Mike. I know you don't either. So I don't know this guy. I've heard of the show, The Expedition Unknown, but I don't know anything about this guy. He's the keynote speaker.
Neither do I. Here we are going to a festival. We don't even know the headliner. Oh, well.
I think I'm going to try to find, because I currently have a subscription to HBO Max because we're watching House of Dragons right now. So maybe I'll check out a couple episodes of this because it looks like it's on HBO Max. I might check out a couple episodes, but yeah, I don't know this guy, and I've never seen the show. So what else we got? Mr. Ross Coulthart, the News Nation investigative reporter and journalist and filmmaker, who's been breaking this wild story with what's the dude's name? The David Grush. Yeah, he did the David Grush thing last year.
Jake Barber.
Jake Barber and the UFO egg retrieval thing.
He had a segment with Ben Kirkwick of Uncharted X. Within the last 6 or 8 months, but Ben was on Ross Coulthart's News Nation segment.
Interesting. Yeah, there's something weird about News Nation, eh? Like it came out of nowhere, out of left field, as like a fully functional news channel, and just perfectly right in time for whatever this fake disclosure is.
Reports, or their whole slant is that they're not slanted because they've got former Fox people and former CNN people working at News Nation, right? They're supposed to be right up the middle, which I'm a big advocate of that. We need less partisan BS going on. But at the same time, yeah, when everyone agrees to tell the same story, like, are you not twice as suspicious as before? These people are just like, yeah, let's do News Nation and tell you about ET disclosure.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about modern UFO disclosure. I go back and forth on it every day. So that's why I'm excited to go hear from these people next week. I don't know this Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell. Brittany, if you could pull up a bio on her quick. But interestingly, a neuropsychiatrist, an ESP researcher. Is she the telepathy
No, that was
tapes
Kai
lady?
Dickens.
Okay.
Maybe.
Either way, there is concrete scientific studies going on that are showing like actual ESP and telepathy and stuff in nonverbal people and children with autism. And it's mind-blowing. So that'll be interesting. George Norrie, obviously, he's the Coast to Coast. He's the new Coast to Coast AM host. Super famous guy. Brittany just dropped us a link here. Let's see.
I'm on the website. I can't say that I'm familiar with her work.
No, me neither. She wrote the book, The ESP Enigma, The Scientific Case for Psychic Phenomenon. She seems to be a regular speaker at a bunch of different events. So yeah, she'll be interesting. Look, that whole thing used to not be like very interesting to me. I used to poo-poo that kind of thing, but there's actual scientific studies that are quite convincing about, ESP and telepathy and different things like that.
She was on the telepathy tapes.
Brittany,
yeah. Telepathy tapes took the podcast world by storm, and I never went back and watched them all. To be honest, I watched some commentary on it, and that was all I had time for.
I just watched about half the episode of the lady on Rogan, and spent like 2 weeks like whoa. Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more about that. It's just so much to learn about these days, George Knapp, he's investigative.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
did we?
I'll look it up too. But do they already have like
put it
the
back
class times posted? I was gonna start seeing like.
They do. You can. I have the schedule as well. Just go to the schedule. We can kind of flip through that a little too. But George Knapp is the guy who first broke the. How come I can't remember this guy's name? Bob Lazar story. He's the first guy to ever interview Bob Lazar. And if you don't know about Bob Lazar, is famously the guy who worked at Area S1 at Area 51 in Nevada, who basically tells the story of seeing UFO, UAP technology in a compartmentalized research and development program. Then he was kicked out of the program, and when he came out talking about his story, they basically character assassinated him. They got rid of, they wiped his information from his universities he attended and his different jobs and stuff. He's had men in black visit his house and shake him down and stuff like that. And George Knapp's the guy who broke that story. He also is like one of the people at the forefront of modern UFO disclosure. You'll see him in the front row at all these UFO, UAP hearings. Yep. So I'm interested in seeing him, meeting him in person as well. We got Daniel Sheehan. He's you'll see him all over the place in the UFO, UAP world. Dr. Avi Loeb, he's the guy who discovered, the astrophysicist, theoretical physicist who discovered Oumuamua, which is the, it's the extraterrestrial, extrasolar object, that cigar-shaped object that weirdly flew through, slowed down, sped up, slowed down through our solar system, I think back in 2018 or something like that. And a lot of people speculate that it was of non-human intelligence. So that's cool. I really want to see Linda Moulton Howe. She's an OG, original gangster of the UFO, UAP thing. You'll regularly see her on Ancient Aliens, which is my favorite show. I'm sorry,
I didn't pull this one up, but I also read her entire first book, An Alien Harvest. Think about the cattle mutilation.
Okay.
It's a fascinating book. She takes you right in there in the room where Richard Doty is. Richard Doty is disclosing what we all know wasn't 100% true, but she was a real original pioneer in that field.
For sure. We're getting down into these people that, Whitley Strieber, which was the Communion author that Mike was talking about, that he read their book earlier. I don't know a lot of these
Chris
other
Bledsoe's
people.
book last year, but I've not had time to read it. Chris had a good appearance on the Danny Jones podcast.
He did. Nick Pope, you'll regularly see him on Ancient Aliens as well. He used to be the UK Ministry of Defense expert on UFOs and UAPs. He's an expert in the Rendlesham UFO sighting, where two American, Army enlisted members of the U.S. Army saw a UFO, UAP in Rendlesham, United Kingdom, and they talked about it extensively. It's a very interesting case.
He was in another book that I read called Earth, an Alien Enterprise by Timothy Good, and I didn't have time to flash that one up there. That was another one I read last year.
There's our girl, Yvonne Smith. Shout out Yvonne, certified hypnotherapist and founder of Zero. She was on our show, and she does hypnotherapy, regressive hypnotherapy for UFO and UAP experiencers who are having PTSD.
Zero is a good support group for people who are experiencing things that they can't always even go to their own families. The best people are other people experiencing the same things. It's good they can do that.
For sure. This Ben Hansen guy, Brittany, if you could make a note of him. I've been seeing him on different documentaries, and I feel like we can get him on the show. I'm going to try to meet him in person. Seems like an interesting guy, really laid back and a good speaker. So I'd really like to let's try to get his information. Jason Quitt, our veteran of the Multiverse. and author of Astral Genesis. He said it's going to be hard to miss him because he's like 6'5". So that'll be fun. He's putting on some meditations designed to kind of get us tripping out. Mike, you want to give that a go?
He talks about those Egyptian postures of power, the posture poses. I saw somebody standing outside when I was out getting some sunlight doing one of those postures the other day. I forgot to mention that.
That's funny. Are you interested in going to one of his like meditations and Egyptian postures of power classes?
I think Jason's a really nice guy. It'll be fun to hang out with.
Yeah, me too. I think so as well.
Robert.
So
Salas.
yeah, there's going to be so many people.
There's Bryce Zabel.
There's Robert Salas. Yeah. I'm pretty pumped. And you know, a lot of these people towards the back end I haven't heard of, and that's a good thing because then there's just going to be more and more people I can get their perspective and learn from. And look, I'm not like I've been into the UFO UAP phenomenon since I was a kid, but I don't buy it hook, line, and sinker. I think there's in a lot of ways we're getting taken for a ride by the government, that kind of thing.
Jesse Michael show, that's a good one.
Yeah, so these podcasters are all going to be there. We like the Jesse Michael show here on in the Multiverse, the Need to Know podcast with Ross Coulter,
52, Chris Ramsey.
Vetted
is really good for when I know there's a 1 or 2 hour thing that happened and I need a 15-minute rehash of it, and I go to Vetted for those type of things.
Let's check out the schedule quick, and then we'll let the audience off the hook if anyone's even still watching.
Oh yeah, this has been a great show, and I see what you mean, Dave. That was a really good call, going down the nice big banner and poster, because the schedule, you almost need a magnifying glass in some parts. Do you want me to share it, or? I have it pulled up. To be honest, like it's kind of dense. We're gonna have to sit down and figure out. There's a lot of lectures going on at the same times, and there's also roundtables in some of the rooms where it's like 5 people.
Yeah, and then there's like individual classes with like small group classes and that
interdimensional
kind of
sound bath. Make a note of that one.
Interdimensional sound bath. I'm in. Scarlett's still watching. Thank you for hanging tough, Scarlett. Not enough time to meet a quarter of these people. No, not really. We'll be able to see maybe a quarter of those presentations, to be fair. I'm looking forward to bringing Mike to Joshua Tree on the first day. And that's when we're going to get settled in, get the lay of the land a little bit as well, get some groceries.
Yeah, the schedule's like 9 pages long, so let's just skip sharing it. But we'll have we might have to split up on some days. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the Chris Bledsoe lecture. His story is really compelling. What else did I say?
Yeah.
Oh, remote viewing workshop. Let's make a note of the remote viewing workshop and attend that one.
For sure. We want to do a CE5 class as well. I don't know if you see that, but CE5 is the supposed way that you can get together as a group and basically contact UFOs and UAPs, and they show up in the sky. Seems a bit woo to me, but I'll give it a go.
Just reminded me, Dave, this was the missing segment, the forgotten segment. We were going to give a shout out. We always shout out our real followers. If you're watching us and you're real, we appreciate that. We wanted to make a special segment to shout out our fake Facebook followers. We've been friended by spam accounts on Facebook, impersonators, such as the fake Stephen Greer account, who is super encouraging in spite of his fakeness.
The fake Stephen Greer was awesome. He was very nice. He was like very encouraging, kept telling us to keep up the good work and like we got to work. He sent us like paragraphs and paragraphs of how we could make a difference in the UFO UAP space.
Had about less than 1% of the followers of the official Stephen Greer page, and did they shut him down eventually?
He disappeared. Yeah, eventually disappeared.
We also got contacted by a fake Richard Doty account. Now, to be honest, let's think this through here. Richard Doty is a known disinformation agent. He's paid by the government. He fed Linda Moulton Howe disinformation when she was writing her book, An Alien Harvest. If a fake Richard Doty reaches out to us, maybe we can trust him.
I like the logic and reasoning there, Mike. Oh yeah, and fake Uri Geller. Who saw that coming?
And that rounds out the fakes. So we had 3 excellent fake accounts. Fake Uri Geller on Facebook. Shout out to fake Uri Geller, fake Richard Doty, and Stephen Greer in person.
Scarlett shouts out fake Billy Carsons. Yeah, there's a lot of fake Billy Carsons. We need to friend a fake Billy Carson and see how that goes.
I could throw shade here, but I'm just not going to. I'm just going to keep it civil at the end of the show. I like Billy. I like me some Billy from time to time.
Hit the music, Mike. Let's
I forgot about that. Sorry.
You're good. Let's wrap this up.
What did we miss?
So
fun show. Great to meet you, Goop. Sounds like Ricardo told us to get in contact, or told you to get in contact with us. So thanks, Ricardo, for fearlessly working to bring everybody together in this space.
For sure, Ricardo's got a vision, and I'm just here for it. I want to see what happens. So thank you, Ricardo Calvario, History, Myths, and Legends at Institute for Natural Philosophy. There was somebody else I was going to say.
Jeff Up North.
Jeff Up North, thanks for watching. Sarah, thanks for joining the chat tonight. That's Sahara on X. There's something else I was going to mention.
Thanks, Jim Fry, Habitat for Rock Cows.
In my mind. Yes, thank you.
Take your time. So we're not scheduling a live stream this time next week. I'll talk a minute if you want to try to remember. But Thursday, the evening before the show, if we have a quiet half hour at the hotel, we might get on our phones or something and try to do a quick stream, or maybe Dave will bring a laptop and we might check in, maybe not, no guarantees next week. Even if we don't, we'll be dropping episodes as we described earlier.
Yeah, correct. Look forward to our movie week next week. I don't think it's coming back, but movie week next week, we got Wandering Wolf, Michael Collins dropping tomorrow, the Randall Carlson dropping Monday for our next iteration of Cosmic Mondays. Support the show, buy me a coffee via hemp products.
Book of the month.
Book of the month. Butler's DMT Field Guide. We'll be switching that up in a couple weeks to a new book of the month. I believe it's going to be R.N. Voigt's one of his books. I'm not sure which one we're going to pick, but I think that's next. Multiverse, all caps.
Cosmic Summit.
Get your passes to Cosmic Summit. Meet Mike and Dave. Meet Matt Bell. Meet Ben Van Kerkwick. Meet Robert Schock. Meet the Randall Carlson. Meet all these people. Check out the website. It's going to be a great weekend. It's much more intimate than something like Contact in the Desert, where there's going to be a gajillion people. Meet us. Meet us. Meet Mike and Dave. Come hang out with Mike and Dave. And Brittany. Yeah, Brittany will be there as well. Gosh, there was something else I was going to say, but it's gone.
Hey, this has been a great show. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be safe this week. Be kind to everybody. Know that you're appreciated. We'll do it all over again next time.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good night.